what are some of the cues in terms of what women want? I go to the gym. It's a hotly contested debate. You said evolutionary psychology, and this is in the bro psychology forums that I visit multiple times a day. No, I'm just kidding. What's the most important cue of appearance for guys? What muscle group is the most important to work on? Do women care about biceps? Is what I'm asking.
In terms of physical appearance, a good shoulder to hip ratio, so relatively wide shoulders relative to hips, is one. Women tend to prefer men who are physically fit and well toned, but not muscle bound. So, like if you go to, I don't know, someone like those early when Arnold Schwarzenegger was doing the Mr. whatever it was contest. You see, women don't find those attractive, the extremely muscle-bound guys, but they like a guy who's physically fit, high shoulder to hip ratio. They like guys who are physically taller than they are, and guys who are a bit above average in height. So if the average is, I don't know, 5'9", 5'10", and out there for humans, depending on the culture, women prefer an inch or two taller than that. So
shoulders, height, dad bod. What's that about? Why do you want a dad bod? Why do you? Why not? How do I define dad bod?
What is a dad bod?
Dad bod is not muscle bound.
Okay, so out of shape.
A little. No, just a little bit. A little bit of cushion for the pushing. I don't know what the kids call it these days, but just a little bit of fat. So why do they not want guys to be obsessed with their body? Is that some evolutionary thing?
Yeah, I think that women might interpret a guy who is so obsessed with his body that they might view that as a sign of narcissism.
Yes.
And that's not a good trait.
What about like cultures where large, sort of overweight men are valued? How do you explain, like, how much can we override the evolutionary desires with our sort of cultural fashions of the day that maybe represent other desirable aspects like wealth?
Well, wealth is resources have always been important, especially to women. So is a man able to acquire resources, and is he willing to dispense them to her and her kids? So that's always important. In traditional cultures, that boils down to hunting skills. So I asked a colleague, friend, Kim Hill, who's probably the world's leading expert on the Ache of Paraguay, and you ask him, like, what leads to high status in the Ache in males? Hunting skills. That's
nice.
the one thing, the big variable,
and that's resources.
And that's resources. Now, what's interesting about modern culture is we have cash economies, but cash economies are relatively recent, and historically, there's over the vast 99% of human evolutionary history, you weren't able to stockpile resources in the way that you are today. Although there are interestingly certain ways you can do it. So like you kill a large game animal. Okay, you bring it back. You get some status points because you give some to your family. You can share it more widely with the group, etc. But it's going to go bad, right? You can't just say, I'm going to keep this carcass around for the next several months. Okay, but and I think it's Steve Pinker who might have coined this phrase that they store the meat in the bodies of other people, and so, for example, they store it in their friends. So, hunting success is, it's a hit or miss kind of thing. So you might come back empty-handed 4 times out of 5, but when you do, you share your meat with others, and then when and then they reciprocate by sharing their meat with you. And so you can store resources in the bodies of other people, which is, I think, an interesting way to think about it. But that can only go so far. And when you have cash economies, you have both the ability to stockpile resources, but also this kind of explosion in inequality of resources. And that's evolutionarily recent.